with We Sing. And this is the Deadly Human Rights Program, folks. I'm DJ Barty Girl. If you've just tuned in to Koori Radio 93.7 FM on your radio dial there. And we have a couple of young ladies in the studio, Nagaza and Svetlana. And welcome to the show again. Now, I know you're itching to talk about the subject, which is about the RSPCA. Would you like to share your story? Because I felt like you needed to come on here and share it, Svetlana, and you brought another lady in here with you. Obviously, this is important to you. Can you share what this is about your dog and what happened to it as regards the RSPCA?
We just moved recently to another area.
Yeah.
And our neighbors, they don't know us. They just see something wrong with my dog, and they didn't ask what's happening. They just called to RSPCA. But my dog been just old. She just walking very slowly and looks like sick, but she's just old.
Yeah, how old was your dog?
17 years.
17 years, okay.
Yeah. But
what type of dog was it?
Very clever. It's Border Collie.
Yeah.
Border Collie closed with Australian Kelpie.
Okay, yeah.
Very clever dog. When she been young, she's been so smart, so love people dog. And unfortunately, neighbors didn't know anything about my dog. They just called to savers, rescuers, and they just came, break into my window, jump into the window, and stolen my dog.
Your neighbours or the RSPCA?
RSPCA. They have a rights, you can see on website, they have rights to break into your property, even just they thinking something wrong.
With no evidence?
No evidence. I asked her after, why you break into my property? She said, because we saw the dog who is just lying and sleeping on the floor. She just been enjoying afternoon. And they just break into and just stolen my dog.
Right. Now that was based on a comment made by your neighbour, yeah?
Yes.
So what did your neighbour say?
I don't know who been complained. That is a big secret.
But it came, so you don't even know what your neighbour said to the RSPCA that made them decide to come and visit? You don't have anything in writing?
First time they came, they left a message.
Yeah.
With phone number. I used to call them, and they said, oh, your neighbors complaining what you don't caring about your dog, something wrong, your dog is sick. But I said them, my dog is just very old. She is blind, she is walking very slowly. They said, especially if your dog is very old, we need to check, and maybe she is suffering, and we have to put her down. From that words, I've been feel like they wanna come and kill my dog.
Yes.
With no reason. I said, my dog is okay. Thank you for your help. I don't need you. And they said, I will speak with you later. And that's it. After that, no phone calls, no anything.
Yeah.
They didn't
come back. They just came back when you weren't there.
Yes, they just come back and stolen my dog.
And did they actually break a window or something like that? Or?
We're lucky that was very old house. We not yet change all windows to normal.
Yeah.
That's why they without problem opened that window. It's just been heavy, but they did. And after that they closed the door, but we can't open it.
Yeah. Because
it's a door being new one. And my husband have to jump back to the window, and that's why we decide probably they've been through the window, because it's been opened. And yeah, it's...
I'm sorry this happened, and they killed your dog, is that correct?
Not straight away. 1 week they didn't answer my phone calls. Absolutely, I called them. Secretary said she will call you back, she will call you back. Also called my social worker. He been called many times, and same answer, she will call you back. Also from the school, I've been asking secretary to call them, because my son, don't want to go to school, he don't want to study, and I asked them for help. Can you call them and ask what's happening with the dog, because my son is missing the dog. Its favorite pet. It's what ridiculous. They just took a pet and no reason. And only after 1 week she called me back.
Yeah.
And she said, "You are invited for interview." And that was not interview. That was like a I don't know. It's like an army, like police. She been in special costume.
Inquisition, like a...
Yeah, like Inquisition.
Yeah.
She been in army costume with camera in front like a police.
An army costume?
It's like
maybe it was
hockey
police officer.
color, like green hockey color. And she been like, looks like really police, and like I have to feel like guilty. And I've been so surprised and shocked. I've been together with one elderly, another good neighbor. She been come to support me because she also been shocked with that situation.
Dog, yeah.
And another woman who been lost some another pet, they came to support me. And everyone been in shock how they deal with people. It's like I'm guilty because I've been caring about dog many years and she's still alive. That's why I'm guilty. And they asking how what I've give for food my dog, and they said they giving better food, that's why put on weight now for 1 week. I asked them, can you show me my dog? They said, no, you can't see your dog.
That's weird, hey? I mean, apart from anything else, that's actually weird.
Well, it's just standover tactics, and it's bloody disgusting. I was telling Andrea earlier, I had a 17-year-old dog, and you know, I couldn't walk him and all because he was just too old. But he was quite happy just laying around. He wasn't sick. And dogs can live till they're quite elderly. And like human beings, when you get old, you get ailments and you get limping or whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they should put your dog.
But dog wanna live. She's still eating very well. She enjoy the life sometimes. She's sleeping close to the heater. But they took her and put in a cage when it was quite already rainy and cold, with another dogs who suffering and crying. They lost the owners. It's like it's not cruelty.
Well, when did you find out they killed her?
First, when that was investigation, that was nearly 1 hour. She asked me many times why, how often I bring her to the vet, and such of questions like I feel guilty. Like after that, she said we can give you 2 options: or you sign paper, like you rid off of your dog, you're not responsible anymore, you give us permission to do whatever we want to do with your dog, or we will investigate that case, and that can take 60 days, and per each day you have to pay for shelter,
my
like
God.
all medication for dog, all I don't know, maybe
so
some
you get a
penalty.
10,000 bill at the end of it.
Exactly. Exactly. Hello everybody, I'm Nadia Zargasheva. I'm Svetlana's long-standing friend, and I know her family well enough, and the dog that passed in question. The real question here is, where does the cruelty lie? You know, who is commissioning cruelty? Is that Svetlana over her dog, or RSPCA, who is basically incriminating her every step of the way? She's trying to introduce remediative actions to say, but if only I knew that this is what you were going to do, or I was supposed to do this, I would have, could have, should have. These steps are missing in the conversation. And I'd like to come to this subject from 2 angles. Angle number 1 is the purpose and how the dog was reported by a neighbour.
Yes.
A dispute that arose to the left has nothing to do with the dog, led a neighbour to basically dob the dog to RSPCA. The dog is a collateral damage. The dog's done nothing wrong but obviously be old, which is quite disgusting in its own right, that somebody would use a living animal to hold the new neighbour hostage to what I believe dispute is over a private road, where parties were using private road.
What's that got to do with it?
That's my whole point. You see, when the neighbour
Was that what the neighbour was complaining about?
100%. So my understanding of the issue is the underlying issue between the 2 neighbours has nothing to do with the dog.
With the dog. It was just used against her.
100%. So this purpose doesn't get tested. Nobody asked the question, who dobbed the dog? Who are you? What's your relationship?
Yeah.
How well do you know the dog? That's issue number one. The issue number two, which is staggering, if you look at the act that RSPCA operates under, it's 1979. It hasn't had updates since well before I was born. And mind you,
you've checked that out, obviously?
I've checked that out.
Wow.
Those days before the baby boomers, when the laws were introduced, they were pretty punitive, right? And now I'm for theft. In the old days, when you steal a loaf of bread or slice of bread, you would lose an arm. That law hasn't had a revision since the days where it's been written to serve a society that we're no longer that society.
Things have moved on a bit.
Things have moved on now. If you listen to the rationale in that act says a member of RSPCA has to have reasonable grounds to suspect that animal cruelty is taking place. How subjective is that?
But it seems like they didn't have reasonable grounds because there was no evidence.
None. And that's the thing. The evidence in hand was someone showed up, and it was quite intimidating for Svetlana to have a decent conversation. Svetlana was intimidated, and therefore she was defensive.
She needed to have another person with her as well.
Perhaps. But none of that warranted a break-in. Stealing the dog.
No.
Holding the dog hostage in the facility for a week. Putting Svetlana through what she did. She had to come with 3 people, and each time she comes in, there's an arsenal of people coming in and saying, we're recording you, whatever you say will be used in court, and you paying.
I would say I'm recording you.
That's right.
Yes, I did.
That's
You did,
right.
good.
That's right. The saddest part in this is, right, you know, there's human life, and we obviously debate whether or not euthanasia is the right thing to do. There's people that want to take up euthanasia, this ethical implications of allowing to human beings to take up euthanasia. Obviously, life is precious.
Yeah.
When I walked into the station, I listened to the introduction song, and it said, attitude of gratitude, breath of fresh air. Everyone, animal or not, wants to exercise their right for breath of fresh air, to be able to wake up, to be able to live, old or not. That dog was just an old dog. If it could speak, I'm confident the dog would have said, no, I don't want to die. I may have a kidney
I want to stay
failure.
home with my...
I may be, you know, having a heart attack as I'm speaking right now, but I still want to breathe. I want to be by Svetlana. Svetlana had that dog before she spoke English. She's a migrant in Australia.
Yeah.
You know, she's travelled a long journey to come all the way to this place, and obviously the dog's been her naturalisation process.
Yes.
That's kind of the angle I'm coming from, thinking that law needs to be definitively revisited.
It does. You're right, and you could do a campaign against it as well. And the other thing that came to mind is I would want to be confronted with my accuser.
Yes.
Who said it? What did they say? Not just someone reporting it to someone else and someone else comes. I want to be confronted by them.
That's right. That's
I
right.
think the issue is that there's, Andrea, that you're allowed to make the complaint anonymously. You see, that's the thing, and they don't. But that's the ruling they have, and therefore they don't have to tell which neighbour it was and who said what.
Okay, I'm going to protest against.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right.
I know.
But yeah, interestingly enough, I think there's a lot in Australia and in many countries around the world. There is a lot. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Paul.
There is a lot of cruelty to animals. There's nothing, and the RSPCA have got a role to play there, but they should investigate every report on its own merit, rather than just make a judgment about you and your dog, and that's where it's wrong, and that's where it's got to be looked at, definitely.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly. And
yeah.
we're going to talk more about this a bit later. We're going to have another guest come on shortly, Nikki from Spin Effects Skating, straight after 7 o'clock. And then, girls, you're going to hang around a bit, yes? Because we've got more to discuss. Just think about what else you want the listeners to know about this, because this is a subject we haven't talked about, have we, Paul, in the 8 years we've been here?
It's a human rights issue, definitely, and we should...
Wow, g'day folks. What an amazing song that is. That's Uncle Johnny Huckle with Dancing in the Moonlight, and then we had Pension Day Blues there with Auntie Marlene Cummins before that. And boy, does he get us up and on our feet and dancing.
Oh, doesn't he ever? What a magnificent performer.
Artist, performer, singer,
Good evening,
songwriter.
Uncle, if you're listening tonight. Yeah, what a great...
We love you.
Yeah, he's a great gentleman.
Exactly. And so we're coming to the close of our show here, but we still have the lovely ladies, Nagaza and Svetlana, and we're talking about the RSPCA, and we haven't finished our conversation on this yet, have we? I know there was more that had to be, that you wanted to share with us and the listeners.
Yeah, you know, it's very important that people would know what's happening, because many people who tell my story, they don't believe that it can happen. They said, you have to go and ask protection for police. I've been in police. Yeah. They say to me, yes, RSPCA have a rights to break into your property, to steal your dog, just for checking your dog, and you can't say anything, and you can't complain. I try to call many organizations and ask them whom I can complain about it. No way. It's no complaint to anyone else, just to RSPCA. You have to complain about them, and it's not work like that, because it's nothing will be changed, but it is need to be changed in community. Because if it's elderly at home, like it's happened with elderly who live in Adelaide, she's quite old, but she's still been working like English teacher, because she's very highly educated person. She been working in university, and she said after they break into her property, they damage many things. They have to pay many money. She don't have so much money. Also, they said she is prohibited now to have a pets. She had depression. Yes, absolutely. She don't have a rights to have a pets anymore.
This is in South Australia?
In Adelaide.
In Adelaide, yeah, that's in South Australia. Okay.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
most bodies in New South Wales, I know, I'm not sure about Australia why, you have a right of appeal or complaint. Now, if you've got some issue with a real estate agent, whatever, you go to Department of Fair Trading. But it sounds like what you're saying is that with the RSPCA, there's no right of appeal anywhere.
If they make penalty, you can go to appeal. But if they don't make a penalty, like here, they said they understand what they did. They trying to cover it. That's why they introduced to me to sign the paper what I read of the dog. And they make another option where I have to pay big money. It's like my husband counted and said it's $1,000. It's like a new car will cost for you to keep your dog alive. But dog is really old. She will die anyway very soon. And it was very sad to me and for our family to lose that dog. But what we can do to pay some $17 or more $1,000 per keeping her alive, and maybe she will die anyway, or maybe she's already dying there now till I speaking with them. I don't know.
I think my understanding here is it's a very good question, right, of appeal, but it's more civil in nature to recover money. To recover the dog, she's got no avenue. They put the dog to sleep, and that's final. And that's where the tragedy lies, that, it's okay, she would have gone and paid all those, funds that they've said they've attributed to rescuing the dog, which questionable in its own right, because she hasn't seen the dog. The dog was kept in captivity for a week and put to sleep under many medical pretenses she's never had to been able to examine, but there is no appeal to return the dog.
Right, so we need a listener out there who knows of someone who knows of someone else who knows of someone else that can tell us what right of appeal can happen here. Maybe there's a dog's rights lawyer out there or something. I don't know, an animal rights lawyers.
It's a good point.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And I think you should be able to do 100%. Something about it.
I mean, we've touched on me having a dog. I haven't had a dog since 18 years now, because I did have a dog. I actually got it off RSPCA, but the dog doesn't come with a manual. I picked up a dog and it wasn't the right dog for my family because it turned out to be quite temperamental. He was very hard to retrain, and I had a minor at home, so I've made a conscious effort to take him back to find a suitable family through the same RSPCA. But guess what they did? They put him to sleep.
Oh no.
And the excuse in this instance was they apparently run 3 tests on a dog, and the test is really putting an artificial arm into the feeding bowl when the dog's being fed, and if the dog reacts negatively, bites, shows signs of aggression, the dog fails the test. So the dog failed it 3 times, but never once I've been informed that this would be the test, and I would have prepared it. I would have worked towards it. There are no precautious measures. You just come in and you get trapped into the inevitable end of they're so big on putting dogs to sleep.
Right. So it's disgusting. So what do you want to do about it?
I create petition.
Yeah.
But people take attention, and many people already signed that petition. And if that petition will take many signs, maybe we can go to Parliament and take attention of the ministers.
And what are you asking Parliament to do on that petition?
We need to have some control on them, but little bit to make their rights less, because even
maybe
police
review the laws regarding it.
Yeah, some laws that can keep them little bit not so cruel against people. Can you imagine if my child would be alone at home and they just break into the window?
Well, hopefully your child isn't alone at home.
He's already 12, but I said to him, never open the door for any strangers. But if they
can you see the cultural nuance here? You see, we're not trained. The 500,000 people migrate to Australia. There is no manual how to live a life in a Australian way, right? You just get a dog and you think you're doing the right thing, the way you used to do, but all of a sudden you're not.
But also that dog is part of the family.
100%.
It's like a family member, ingrained.
Yeah.
And the people there love it and feed it and take it for a walk, and the dog loves them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's also, you're affecting not just taking the dog, you're affecting other people.
Robbing you, essentially, of a family member. It's treating you, it's treating the dog as less of a family member by saying, well, it's an animal. But that's why I've opened my statement saying, where there's a real cruelty lie here, is that her trying to prolong the life.
Yes.
Life is precious.
Yeah,
you know, or is it our SPCA who's so keen to put the dog to sleep because it's got reasons and it doesn't have resources to keep the dogs in the back door?
Right. So where do people go for the petition?
They can find me in social networks.
Yeah.
I have on Facebook, I have my Instagram.
Yeah. What is it called?
Svetlana Zara. Yeah, it's popular Russian name Svetlana. I'm from Latvia, but it's name quite popular in Latvia also.
Excellent.
And I think another thing too, maybe to speak to your local member of Parliament too.
Yes.
I think
go right to them.
they may have they may be able to give you some advice on who they can speak to, because I think the fact that it happened to you, you could have done nothing and just be sad, but you've decided to, one of the things that comes out is that you could stop this happening to another person.
That's right.
And that's very important, because people don't know, like you didn't know. I never knew until you spoke about this. I don't think Andrew knew. So look, the fact that you're airing it is giving other people a chance to find out, so it doesn't happen to them.
Yes.
And also, all you animal lovers out there, please jump onto the Facebook page
and sign the protest.
Svetlana
it's a petition,
Zara,
right?
Zara, and just go on there and sign it. It'll take you a few minutes, but it could help animal lovers out there, and so it doesn't happen to anybody else.
Exactly.
Especially with elderlies. Like, I'm enough young and enough strong. If it's happened with person who is quite elderly, it can be like person can die. You saving dog, killing the dog, and somebody else can die from that, from shock.
And not only that, but a lot of elderly people have the companion dog, and it's the only company they have. They live on their own, they're elderly, so we're getting the wind up here.
We're getting the wind up because we have to go, folks. We could talk about this all night. So thank you very much for coming on the show, ladies, Nagaza and Svetlana. And thank you for bringing it to the listeners' attention. And I think it's a good thing what you're doing. And sign that petition, folks. Go to Svetlana Zara Facebook and sign that petition. And we'll mention this on the radio show over the next few weeks as well. And right now, straight after this, we have Grace, who's coming up on her show, Fiji of Australia, Voice of the Community. straight after this from 8 till 8, 9, 10, about 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
3-hour show.
Tune in.
And so stay tuned, folks. We have some great programs here. We'll be back with some more fantastic guests next week, folks. We're going to leave you with a bit of Uncle Johnny Huckle. Listen to the spirit. So thank you, ladies, for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.